So I keep seeing how people are posting about how like three branches of government and the balance of power, and that's all a lie. And we've been lied to. And it just speaks to how many people do not understand the nuances of a democratic republic and the fact that you can actually use a democratic republic and the freedoms that it upholds to create laws democratically that will create suppression and oppression. And if you have a long game where you are just like under the wire, just like little by little chipping away, you can actually turn a democratic republic into an oligarchy, into a authoritarian regime, with things on the book that are actually legal, right? And remembering that legal means there are lots of laws that are not in support of like the common decency of humanity. And there have always been laws that are like that. And it's really complicated, but it's also really simple. And we intentionally in schools did not learn the nuances of it in the way that I think we probably should have, so that we wouldn't be in this situation right now. Some people paid attention and did further study, but the vast majority of Americans don't understand how democracy works and that it is fluid. It's part of why we started the school that we started in 2015 and opened as a participatory democracy, hoping that we could help kids understand the nuances, and that what happens when you ignore and when you just let it be and you just let it run its course. This is what happens when you're not paying very close attention. So there's a lot of things that could be said about it, like maybe the country's too big for its britches and it needs to be broken up into regions and into its own countries to make decisions based on the majority of the population that is there. I think we're going to see some interesting things that we're going to have to really take care of ourselves around. It's going to be brutal to watch it. And we're going to have to figure out that balance, because that is the balance that we are working with now. The balance on the macro level in the overculture is completely off. All the more reason why we are going to have to balance within, so that we can acknowledge the harm that is happening to our communities. We cannot put our heads in the sand. We cannot pretend like it's not happening if it's not happening directly to us. We are literally connected in a mycelial network across this entire nation and truly across the world. And we cannot isolate ourselves from the harm. And at the same time, we have to be pulling in and radically caring for ourselves and being in community care and remembering that because we are all interconnected, if we are showing love and care and support and common humanity and dignity and integrity to our micro communities, that is going to lift itself up and sustain us. That is the medicine. We have to hold the balance. Okay? That is the direct action work that we have to be doing. So go figure out what you want to spend your energy on in your community in radical community care. figure out your spiritual practices and the things that can nourish you as you bear witness and potentially are part of, are wrapped up in this unraveling of systems, institutions, care networks that have always held us, or we thought they held us up here. Because what we're learning is that elements of them did hold us, but there were other threads that have to be burned. And so I want you to consider the good fire, metaphor, about how every year fire comes through a land and clears it of the debris, the mess, the growth, maybe the invasive, the leaf litter. And a lot of leaf litter is beautiful, right? But then there's sometimes where the forest floor, the understory of the forest needs to be cleared. And the good fire does that, okay? And if you are doing the good fire, right, and you are keeping up with that, which is like this land practice that is an indigenous land practice, a regular tending to the land, right? If you are doing that regularly, then it actually creates the conditions for growth and bloom and care. And the literal forest knows that it's being tended to and cared for. And so it proliferates. It is abundant. So the good fire creates abundance, right? But if you haven't been tending to the land and you haven't been doing the fires regularly to clear and to create like some space for new growth, then a fire's going to come through and it's going to burn everything. And that is where we are right now. We are in the fire that is burning everything, because although there have been really good intentions over the years in the United States, the foundation and the undercurrents have been problematic, to say the least. And so the fire that we're seeing is the forest fire, the ravaging fire, the raging, the clearing everything good and bad. We're not paying attention because there's so many layers of rot that it has to get cleared out, and we're living through it. And it looks horrific, and it is going to kill people. And that in our nervous system is so overwhelming. And so we need to be taking care of ourselves and acknowledging that that is trauma. We are living inside of a minute by minute trauma. And so we need to be taking care of ourselves and one another. And we need to be holding the balance, right? And honoring the balance of being able to bear witness to what is happening. Because if it's happening to one of us, it's happening to all of us in a deeply embodied way and in an auric, energetic way on the planet Earth. And I mean that for everything. I am an animist, so everything, right? The lightning bugs that are going extinct, they're a part of us, right? All of us are interconnected, right? And so we have to bear witness to that. We can't turn our backs away. And we also have to acknowledge that never in the history of the earth have people been this interconnected in what is happening from the most grassroots, local level, all the way up to literal universal. things that are happening. And so that is a lot. And we have to honor and give ourselves a little bit, like cut ourselves some slack about the fact that we are connected in, whether we want to be or not, to all of it. And so to the trauma that I may be watching on social media, and then it's affecting me as if it's happening in front of me, like that is huge. And even if I stop watching that trauma, I am still going to physically feel it because I am connected to every single person that is watching it. But the answer isn't necessarily to turn away and to not bear witness to it, right? Like, it's to find the balance in acknowledging and understanding what is happening, and then figuring out what our actions are to be in community care and to support radical transformation at the grassroots level. What are you doing locally? Okay, and then the last piece of this, okay? Number 1, bear witness. Number 2, what are you doing locally to be a part of community care and support? 3, how you are taking care of yourself. What are your practices? Now, I'm going to share with you my practice. And if it has any resonance with you, oh my gosh, take it, use it, run with it, go. So I'm in a daily practice of curiosity, non-judgment, not doing non-judgment because that's really hard, but working with discernment, okay? And trying to hold the foundation of non-judgment. And I'll talk more about that. And unconditional love. Okay, and I'm doing this for myself and for everybody and everything I'm in contact with. It is fucking hard, okay? But it is a daily practice because practice is where the magic happens. It has to become a routine, a ritual, a practice. Okay, I am curious. I am always inquisitive and curious. I'm interested. I want to know more about what's happening, okay? Then I'm looking through it through a lens of discernment where I am saying, okay, let me look at the roots of why this is the way that it is now, okay? And that allows for me to not hold just like anger and judgment, because all that does is make me sick. But it also allows me to set boundaries around what I'm not willing to be a part of and what I'm not willing to like hold or take. Okay. So there's non-judgment there in that I am discerning where people might be coming from and why they are making the choices that they're making. And also I am acknowledging that many of these choices are creating harm. And I'm not like, I'm not saying this should be a free-for-all. I am holding that accountability, okay? And that's really hard. That is a balance, and it is a discernment process. There's contemplation involved in that. There's nuance involved in that, okay? And then unconditional love for myself and everyone around me, regardless of whether or not I believe or agree with them, and also if they're trying to kill me, right? I'm not like loving them in the way that like I love my child, but I am holding compassion and I am acknowledging what must they be enduring to make choices that are what went wrong, or what complexities of the way that our society is built created the conditions for people to choose such devastating consequences for humanity. And also to acknowledge that I take part in that every day. I can't separate myself from it. I am a part of it, right? And then pouring love into myself and pouring love into everyone around me, and trying know better, do better, know better, do better. And that is all super exhausting, but I have to do it every day. And so I have practices in place where when that is terrible, because it is, I go into those practices to support me. The number one thing that I do is I grieve daily. I do embodied grounding daily. I pray daily. You can pray to your prayer, the things that you pray to. I have certain prayers that I do that some may be like, oh, that's devil praying, like, because we're so indoctrinated into what prayer is and who you're supposed to be praying to, and so many people are judging that. There's where your non-judgment comes in, right? Like, I'm going to do my thing. I want you to do your thing, because my whole value system is all about radical individuation and everyone holding and caring for one another as they are their radically individuated selves, inter-sovereignty, okay? And so that practice of my own spiritual practice to support and ground me, calling in what is connected to me spiritually, and having that be my guide and my support. And then you get to do what grounds you and helps take care of you, and releasing the judgment from everyone else that isn't following your protocol. I don't expect anyone to follow my protocol, in the same way that I don't want you to tell me the protocol that I'm supposed to use, right? And so there's that practice of whatever's gonna like take care of you inside, okay? And then there's a daily grieving that has to happen, okay? Every day, grieve, release. Okay, and about that grieving that I said was the number one thing that I do every day. That grieving is an embodied grieving. So I have practices that I do where I like move the grief through my body physically and transmute it into the ground, or I move it out of my body and away. I do like to practice it going into the ground, because when things go into the ground, then the earth just takes that energy and reuses it for growth and abundance. But when it was inside of me, it was like making me sick, right? And I don't want it. I don't want it to make me sick. But I also want to feel all the things that I need to feel, right? Because I need to be grieving what is happening on the planet. So I have sounding that I do. I have movement. I have shaking, dance. I move my body with intention and release that. I yell, I scream about it. I go out and do things that I sweat, because I'm not a crier. So I do things that make me sweat. Like right now, I'm sitting out here and it's hot and I'm sweaty, and it's good. It's like, it's releasing, it's purging that grief out of my body so that there's room for joy. And I have to do it every day, because there is something to grieve about every single day on this planet. That is the time that we're living in. And I believe we all chose to be here right now. So figure out a way to grieve so you make room for the joy. And when the joy comes in, relish that. And then the second practice, grieving is the first practice. Prayer, or any kind of connection to the divine that you choose to do, practice that daily. If that means like you're writing and you're in touch with your higher self, or you're praying to a deity that is valuable to you, amazing. Number three is mindful self-compassion, okay? This is a moment of suffering. We are constantly in moments of suffering. We are not alone, because again, we're a mycelial network, interconnected. We are interwoven, okay? And we need to love the fuck out of ourselves and everyone around us to get through it. So, radical love. Love is the only trickle-down economics that has ever worked. So pour that love out. And it starts with love for yourself, because love thy neighbor as thyself is the golden rule, but a lot of us don't love ourselves. And so it's really hard to love your neighbor when you hate yourself. And so it's work that we have to do, mindful self-compassion, to root out the hate. Root it out. Root out the hatred, the self-hatred. Root out the fear. Root out the scarcity. Figure out where it comes from. Love it. Love it through. Because pouring love into the fear, pouring love into the scarcity, pouring love into the generational trauma, pouring love into the fact that a lot of our ancestors, my ancestors as a white person from the Mediterranean, from Spain, created some of the conditions, a lot of the conditions that exist today that are empire, that are not sustaining, that are not functional. And a lot of my ancient ancestors were part of the animist care for the earth beauty that we can tap back into, that will actually support us for generations to come. I hold the balance of both. Here we are back to balance. I hold the balance of both. And so I need to practice mindful self-compassion and love myself through this and show that unconditional love, that trickle-down economics, that trickle-down love. Put it in me, it literally flows out. The more you love, the more love comes back to you, the more love you put out. And if it can be unconditional, if you can release the judgment, if you can see the judgment and be like, this is suffering, I can see where I'm judging, and I can see that I'm not alone in the way that I'm doing this judging, and I need to love through this. Do you see how they're these little spiral ripples, okay? And that energy, that work, will literally change your energy and change everything around you. And if we're all doing our work together and we're all bearing witness and we're not turning away and we're practicing love and we're doing these things that take care of ourselves and we're acknowledging what our community needs and we're doing the things that we have to do to like pay the bills and live in capitalism, it's all really hard. And so the only way that you can make that work is if you stay connected. Do not isolate. Be in community. Be in connection. Call people, gather people, bring people together, make it messy, make it hard. Make sure that you are every minute you can being in community. Don't allow yourself to be isolated. The only way that we go is together. No matter which direction, we go together. So let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Okay? All right. Cheers. Love y'all.